Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, hello. My name is Caitlin Elliott, and I cover true crime cases on Tuesdays and Fridays, with my more vintage cases being posted on Fridays. Now, if this is something that interests you, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so that you never miss an upload. And with that, we're going to be talking about my last video, which we had discussed about the disappearance of a 5-year-old little girl named Haley Cummings. And in today's case, we are going to be talking about the unsolved case of Bobby Dunbar. This has to be one of the craziest cases that I've seriously ever heard of and ever researched. So please just buckle up and prepare yourself for this crazy, twisted and turny type of case. Like, oh my God, this is so wild. So this case takes place back in the year of 1912, which was the same year as the Villisca Axe murders and the Titanic sinking. And for those who do not know, I did actually cover the Villisca Axe murders case, and if you want, you can go into my channel and look at that one later as well. So I can link it down below too for those who just don't want to go and search through my channel. But it was said that this 4-year-old little boy would just vanish into thin air in the year of 1912. So Robert Clarence Dunbar, he was born on May 23rd of 1908 in Opelousas, Louisiana. I'm probably butchering that, so I'm so sorry, guys. Back in 1912, when Bobby went missing, the population was said to have been about 4,800 people, so it was said to be about relatively small. Bobby was the first of 2 sons that were born to Leslie and Percy Dunbar, and he had a younger brother whose name was Alonzo Dunbar. So his nickname was said to have been Bobby ever since he was born because it was just easier to say than Robert. On August 23rd of 1912, Percy and Leslie decided to take the family to Swazi Lake in St. Landry Parish, Louisiana for a fishing trip. For those who have never been to Louisiana, I know I've never been there, but I've had friends that have gone there. It is said to be a very swampy area, and it is known to have alligators and is guarded by levees that were actually broken back in 2005 during the Hurricane Katrina that hit New Orleans. So despite all of this, it's still considered a very nice place to go fishing. So the parents decided that they were going to, pack up all the kids, they were going to go and take the kids there. So they went fishing and they caught a lot of fish, and they decided they were going to cook dinner for the family while the 2 boys were outside playing. Because remember, they're 4 and 2, they're too young to be cooking, so they're just kind of playing around there. So it was said that they were playing by the shore of the lake, and it was said it didn't take too long for the fish to cook. But by the time that lunch was ready and the fish had been cooked, Bobby, he had just completely vanished into thin air. While the family searched the entire area for him, all they could find was just a pair of baby-sized footprints that led into the water. So Bobby's mother began to frantically panic, like any of us would. That's her son, just completely vanished, just disappeared into thin air. So she feared that her darling little boy had just drowned. He did go towards the water, so it's a possibility. There were local searchers who actually dove down into the lake to go and look for any possible sign that he may have fell in. But as they searched, they could not find a body or find any type of information that he had actually been in the water. So at this point, it was presumed that he had fallen into the lake and was eaten by alligators. There were hunters who shot and sliced open the stomachs of several gators, but there was absolutely no sign of human remains inside of any of these gators. Pretty soon, it was just a long 8 months would just go by without any word about what could have possibly happened to Bobby Dunbar. So despite all of this, local authorities, they still continued their search for the little boy all over the state of Louisiana, because it's possible that he could have wandered off somewhere, someone could have picked him up and took him somewhere. So even though no one knew if he was traveling with anyone and no one knew what to look for, they still went out and searched for this boy. I've talked about this before, that I think it's super bizarre to go out and look for this kid, try to see where he could be. This was back before Amber Alerts were made. This was back when no one had real information about how someone could get caught or anything like that. So it was just really weird to me that they were just like, okay, we're just going to go and search for him. I don't know what we're searching for, but all we know is what this boy looks like. So they were just kind of wild goose chasing. So police then received this tip from an anonymous person that this man named William Cantel Walters was possibly involved with the disappearance of Bobby. William was said to have worked as a handyman, and he repaired multiple pipes and organs in the area, and he traveled all over Mississippi. While he was traveling around, it was said that people noticed that he had a small child with him around 4 or 5 years old that was said to have actually matched the description of Bobby Dunbar. William claimed the boy was not Bobby Dunbar, but this was actually a boy named Charles Bruce Anderson, going by his middle name of Bruce. The boy's mother was named Julia Anderson, and she had allowed William to have permission to take her son and temporarily foster him so they could have, he could have a better life, because back then it was 1912, families weren't all that wealthy, and it was down in Louisiana, it's just kind of like a farmland area. There was a lot of farmers in the area, and a lot of people were poor. So despite him saying that this boy was in fact Bruce, and this woman named Julia told him to take care of him, he was subsequently arrested and was charged with kidnapping Bobby Dunbar. And authorities began to travel back to the home of Bobby Dunbar to inform them that they found their little boy. There were multiple different accounts of what possibly could have occurred when the boy and Leslie Dunbar were in fact reunited. And the first one that was said to have happened was that they claimed that the boy was just frozen in shock. He was just like, where am I? Like, he seemed really confused. And it just seemed like he had no idea who the parents were. He was just frozen. Like, there was just so much going on. He was overwhelmed. It was very bizarre. So the second report said that the boy had shouted "mother" on the top of his lungs and just completely ran over to Leslie and gave her a big hug. While there was a third one that claimed that Leslie saw the boy and was absolutely unsure whether or not this was her son or someone else. So there was also some confusing reports about the interaction between this Bobby kid, I'm using quotations because we're not 100% sure if this was Bobby, and Alonzo, who was Bobby's brother. It was stated that this boy had called Alonzo by name and kissed him, while other reports claimed that he looked at Alonzo like he had no idea who this guy was. So while this was going on, the next day, Leslie Dunbar, she decided to give this Bobby a bath, because apparently he'd been out and traveling and whatnot. So while she was doing so, she became really confused because it was said that she became really confused, but she then got over it because she had recognized these moles and scars that were on this little boy. The boy was then brought back to Opelousas, Louisiana, where a parade was held in Bobby's honor. Like I said, I'm using quotations because I'm not 100% sure. Shortly after this Bobby was brought back to the home, Julia Anderson told authorities that the boy that had been traveling with William Walters was in fact Bruce Anderson, her son. So Julia, she was unmarried at the time, and she had her son out of wedlock, which, if you did not know, that is considered to be frowned upon back then. You always had to be married before you had kids. That was just the way society was. And if you had a kid and you weren't married, which is basically what wedlock is, you weren't married, then, people just treated you like crap. They'd be like, oh, they shunned you basically and thought of you as the town slut, basically. So she decided to get a job to help raise her young son, and this is when she hired a farmhand for the Walters family. So Julia, she had allowed William Walters to take her young son Bruce on a 2-day trip through the state to just visit some relatives. So she was working for the Walters family as a farmhand, and they knew about her son, and she allowed William to go and take her son and go and just travel. Sorry, I'm getting a little confused with all these names here. So she had really trusted her employer William to take Bruce because she considered, the Walters family to be part of her own family. She loved them so much. Despite this, she had only had William, she only allowed him to have William, for like a couple of days. Julia was extremely certain that the boy living with the Dunbars at this point was not in fact Bobby Dunbar, but was her son, Bruce Anderson. So, however, when she was allowed to bathe him, she became unsure and uncertain if this boy was in fact her own son. And this was just completely like people found out about it. Oh my gosh. So there was also a rumor, that whenever they found out about her not knowing whether or not this was her son, the media just slammed her. They're like, how the hell can you not recognize your own son? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to them, which, I mean, I don't know, maybe she just felt like unsure about something. I don't know, but I can't judge for sure. So despite this, she did, get slammed by the media, and there was a rumor that was going around that Julia had actually had 3 children out of wedlock, which we did talk about what wedlock is, and because of this, her claims were considered to be invalid because she was a woman that had kids out of wedlock. Society makes no sense to me back then. So Julia was then sentenced to trial in the state of Louisiana and was ultimately charged with kidnapping the young boy. After this sentencing, it was announced that a number of local residents in the area were really upset and claimed that William and Julia were completely innocent. They never kidnapped anyone, and the fact that they were being accused of this is just ridiculous. So the community, they claimed to have seen William traveling with her son Bruce even before Bobby had even been said to have been missing in the first place. The court, they did not believe these claims. They thought they were just BSing them. So they stated that this boy was in fact Bobby Dunbar. They were like, this boy is not Bobby Dunbar, not Bruce Anderson. You guys are making it up, and that's it. So the boy was then placed with the permanent custody of the Dunbar family, where he was grown up as Bobby Dunbar, while William Walters was charged with kidnapping. After the trial, Julia Anderson, she was said to have moved to Poplar without the boy and was happily welcomed back into the community. Once she settled back into the town, though, she ended up marrying an unknown man, it's unknown who this guy was, and became a mother to 7 children. Like, that's a real mother right there, because I know some people can't even take care of one child. One child for me, like, it kind of like stresses me out, just, because I have sensitivity to noises and everything. So I'm fine with children and everything, but like the fact that she had 7 children just blows my mind. So, if you are a mother, and I have said this before, if you are a mother, good for you, because that takes a lot of work to take care of children, like especially 7 children. She was then said to become a very devout Christian, and she started to dedicate her life to the Lord, and she became an official licensed midwife, which, if you don't know what a midwife is, it's basically if a woman is in labor, you would call a midwife if they're unable to, get to the hospital, because people used to give birth at home, and midwives would be there to deliver the baby safely. So it was said that Julia was depressed after what happened and spoke often about her lost son, claiming that her poor son had been officially abducted by the Dunbar family. She lived the rest of her life mourning her son, and Julia ended up passing away on February 1st of 1940. And still to her death, her dying breath, she claimed that that boy that was raised as Bobby Dunbar was Bruce. So I feel for her, because this has to be extremely difficult to have to go through, like knowing that that is your son, that you raised him, gave birth to him and everything, and he's now been taken away from you and being raised as another child. Like, that has to be so hard. So in 2008, Julia's son named Hollis, he claimed that back in 1944, this Bobby Bruce, whoever this guy was, came into his workplace to speak with him. So Hollis's sister Julia, which is not to be confused with the mother named Julia, this guy Hollis, he claimed to have had an experience that involved Bobby, and Julia, the sister, claimed to have also had this similar experience with this Bobby. So after William Walter served 2 years in prison, he was able to successfully appeal his conviction at the time, and he was granted the right for a new trial. After this, he was ultimately released from prison because they had no evidence that he had actually kidnapped or done anything to Bobby Dunbar, and he went on to live his life like usual. He died on April 7th of 1945 and was buried in Pueblo, Colorado, and he was buried next to his wife. Throughout the rest of his life, William Walters, he constantly denied of being involved in Bobby's disappearance and claimed that he would never kidnap a child, would never harm a child, and would never do anything like what he was being accused of. So the boy that was raised as Bobby Dunbar, he ended up getting married. He had 4 children, and then he ended up passing away on March 8th of 1966 due to undiagnosed heart disease, which, oh my God, it's so sad. Years after the death of Bobby Dunbar, his own granddaughter, whose name was Margaret Dunbar Cartwright, she decided to launch her own investigation as to what could have possibly happened to Bobby Dunbar. She started off with tracking down some of the children from Julia Anderson herself to try to get some more information about Bobby Dunbar because they were alive when Bobby Dunbar was alive. Once Margaret found them, she formally interviewed the children, and she thoroughly examined the evidence in the case. Margaret really wanted to prove that her grandfather was in fact Bobby Dunbar, but she really struggled to find this information. Because of this, Margaret really started to doubt her own beliefs, and she was just like, is he really Bobby Dunbar? Have I been lied to my whole life? She just wanted answers, just like any of us would want. We would want answers. In 2004, there was a reporter who decided to interview the family about the story of Bobby Dunbar. This interview really brought a lot of attention to the case again because no one had really been talking about it over the past years because it kind of faded out with time. So after the interview was made public, Bobby Dunbar Jr., who was said to be the son of Bobby Dunbar, he decided to have a DNA test done to just put everything out there, just ease everyone's mind, just to see what all happened and leave it at that. So the results came back that this man who was raised as Bobby Dunbar was not related to the son of Alonzo Dunbar, who would have been blood related to the original Bobby Dunbar. For those who do not remember, Alonzo is the younger brother of Bobby Dunbar, and because of these results, the previously solved case of Bobby Dunbar was officially now unsolved. In March of 2008, the radio show called This American Life, they created a radio documentary on Bobby Dunbar's disappearance. The workers really began to look into the investigation done by Margaret Dunbar because she had really truly believed that the real Bobby Dunbar had, wandered off and fell, like he swam into the lake and he ended up being eaten by alligators after he drowned. So once Margaret published this, the Dunbar family, whenever they read this, they were pissed. They believed that she had no right to publish this without their knowledge. They were not involved in any of this, and they were just hurt that she would do something like this and kind of like insult their family, so to speak. So after they found out about it and they were pissed, they decided to cut off all ties with Margaret. They were like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you anymore, you're no longer related to us. They basically just, deadbeat. So she really didn't care about this because she was like, look, I'm out here trying to do what I can to solve our family's mystery while you guys are holding on to strands of thread and hope that this guy is in fact Bobby Dunbar and you don't believe anything anybody else is saying. So she just wanted to make sure, this guy was in fact Bobby Dunbar and would have said that it wasn't. She really didn't care at this point. So to this day, the fate of 4-year-old Bobby Dunbar is unknown, and at this point, he would have been likely deceased because he was born in 1908. He would have been 100 years old in 2008. 110 in 2018. He would have been about 114 years old. So he's more than likely dead if he didn't, die already. So I would love to know what you guys think about this case. Did the real Bobby Dunbar, did he in fact fall into the river and get eaten by alligators? Was he kidnapped and then raised as, this guy? Was he in fact Bruce Anderson? Like, what do you guys think? I would love to know what you guys believe down below in the comment sections. I personally believe that he was eaten by alligators. That's just me. They said the last time they saw him was down by the shore and he was just gone. Alligators can swallow people whole. But the fact they said they gutted all these alligators and they couldn't find them, they could have still have digested him at this point. It's just, I don't know. It's just a big mystery. It's so confusing. So like I said, I would love to know what you guys think about this one. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to comment down below any type of case suggestions. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss a video. And turn on that notification bell so you get alerted every time I upload. And I upload on Tuesdays and Fridays. So that is the case of Bobby Dunbar. I wish I had more information. That's all that I could find. That's all that they've been able to, find out about this case. So I love seeing you guys today. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.